AI, the game changer. How to understand, build, and implement in 2023. Artificial intelligence is changing the game in ways we could only dream of a decade ago. Imagine machines that can think, learn, adapt, and even predict your very thoughts. It's truly insane. But AI is not the only thing making waves in our digital world. There is another phenomenon that has been equally transformative, but in a more subtle manner: open source projects. So, what are those? Open source projects center on software whose source code is publicly accessible. This transparency allows anyone to inspect, adapt, and enhance the software. That means anyone, be it you or me, can dive in, understand the inner workings, and make changes. Whether it is to fix a glitch, enhance a feature, or tailor it for a specific purpose, the possibilities are endless. But open source projects are nothing new. Let's take a journey back in time to understand their history. In the early days of computing, software was often shared freely, but as the tech industry evolved, many developers shifted to a proprietary model where the source code was kept a secret. However, in the 1980s, a new open source movement began to take shape. Pioneers like Richard Stallman wanted software to be free, as in the freedom to change and improve, not necessarily in price. And thus, he initiated the GNU project. GNU, a recursive acronym for GNU's Not Unix, was a collaborative endeavor to create a truly free operating system. This initiative was not merely a collection of code. It represented a philosophy that software should respect users' freedoms to run, study, modify, and redistribute the work. Now, it's critical to not confuse open source projects with free software. Open source software is about transparency and collaboration. Proprietary software may have a free price tag, while still not allowing users the freedom to access its source code. Because this sort of software is typically owned and copyrighted, its inner workings are a guarded secret. Now, you must be thinking, why would I want to contribute to an open source project? What's in it for me? Let's break it down. Firstly, the world of open source is an ever-evolving classroom. Every contribution you make provides you with the opportunity to receive immediate feedback on your development and programming skills. Think of it as a continuous cycle of learning and improvement, where you can refine your expertise while working on software with real-world applications. But the benefits are not just about skill enhancement. Contributing regularly to open source projects puts you in the spotlight of a global community. This exposure can lead to networking opportunities with seasoned developers, tech enthusiasts, and even potential employers. Moreover, from a career perspective, such contributions are golden. Having these on your resume demonstrates that you have initiative, commitment, and a willingness to collaborate and share your knowledge. Every contribution you make to the world of open source is a step forward, both in terms of personal development and professional recognition. Even the genius behind Tesla and SpaceX, Elon Musk, is all in favor of open source projects.
I see a problem here. I don't agree with this. They can highlight issues,
right.
Suggest changes.
Now, don't worry if you have no idea how to contribute to an open source project and take advantage of all these benefits. Breathe easy, because you're precisely where you need to be. We are here to help you with this step-by-step guide. Ready to dive in? Here's how. The universe of open source is vast, and you'll need some compass points to help you navigate. That's where resources come into play. Think of them as your map to the open source world. For example, GitHub is a brilliant starting point. It curates repositories based on what's trending and aligns them with your interests. While GitHub reigns supreme for many, don't limit yourself. Platforms like First Timers Only offer an equally enriching environment, and SourceSword gives you a variety of projects to sink your teeth into. There's also Open Source Friday, which is your weekly reminder to contribute. It spotlights projects in need of a hand. Now, with the map in hand, we should understand some ground rules before we start. Every successful journey has some prep work, and this is no different. Your first step should be to immerse yourself in the project you're eyeing. Understand its ethos, goals, and roadmap. This will ensure that your contribution is not just a drop in the ocean, but rather a wave that carries the whole project forward. Don't go in blind. Most open source projects come with guidelines, a set of do's and don'ts. These are not arbitrary rules, but rather an essential framework to ensure harmony and productivity among contributors. Make sure you understand them. Also, it's important to check if the project is really open source. And yes, there is a way to find out. Look for a file named license in the root of the repository. If you find it, That means the project is legit and you can go ahead. Now, the main steps. When you research a project, you might identify an issue or an area for improvement, whether it is a bug you've spotted, suggestion for a new feature, or a simple enhancement. Rather than diving directly into the code, our first step should be to open an issue. Opening an issue is essentially raising a flag to the project's maintainers and community, indicating a problem you've observed or suggesting a new direction. The key here is clarity. Start with a descriptive title. Instead of saying website bug, it's much better to say something like button malfunction on homepage. This gives a clear snapshot of the problem to anyone browsing through issues. Next, you should talk about the issue itself. Delve into the details. If it's a bug, outline the steps needed to reproduce it. Maybe even include a screenshot or video if you can. If you're suggesting a new feature, explain why you feel it would be beneficial to the project. Using labels if the platform permits, as GitHub does, can also be invaluable. These tags like bug or enhancement help categorize and prioritize your issue. Now, once you effectively communicated the issue, gathered feedback, and feel you're ready to get in there and get your hands dirty with the code, you can transition into what's commonly called a pull request or a PR. But what's a pull request? Think of it as presenting your proposed changes to the project's community. But before that, there are preliminary steps. Firstly, you have to fork the repository. In simple terms, you're creating your own copy of the project. This allows you to freely experiment without actually changing anything in the main project. Next, you'll clone this forked version to your local machine. Here, cloning is just a fancy term for downloading a copy so you can access and edit your work offline. With the project now locally accessible, you should create a new branch specifically for your changes. It is best practice to not directly modify the main branch. Once your changes are made and you're confident, you can then commit them. These commits basically mean you are saving your changes with notes explaining them. Finally, you can push these saved changes to your online fork. Returning to the original project, you will now initiate the pull request. When creating this PR, much like with the issue, clarity is of the utmost importance. You must clearly explain the changes, how they address the previously opened issue, and any additional context or reasoning. Remember, this pull request is your ticket to the project's discussion table. Your proposed changes will undergo review. There might be questions or suggestions, or if everything looks great, a direct merge into the project. So now that you've hit that submit button on your contribution, what happens next? Well, firstly, expect a bit of a waiting period. Projects have contributors from across many time zones, so patience is key. But while you're waiting and sipping on your coffee, the community will start taking notice. You'll probably receive some comments, ranging from queries to compliments, and even a few constructive suggestions. And hey, don't be surprised if you get nudged to tweak a thing or two. It is that process of refining that makes a masterpiece. The highlight of the whole experience is that exhilarating moment when your contribution seamlessly blends into the main project. And remember, every interaction, whether it leads to a merge or simply a discussion, is a step forward on your open source journey. So, enjoy the ride. Let's have a look at what the CEO of Facebook and its parent company Meta has to say about the future of open source and AI.
I think that, at least for the stage that we're at now, the equity is balanced strongly, in my view, towards doing this more openly.
All in all, the programming mastermind behind one of the biggest social media platforms thinks that we're moving in the right direction. So, now that you know precisely how to contribute to an open source project, you need some names, right? You cannot just contribute to any project without knowing its impact or relevance. You have to invest time and effort in projects where your contributions can truly shine. This is why we have curated a list of the top 10 open source projects that are available on GitHub, which you can contribute to. Linux is the first one on our list. It was created out of the imagination of Linus Torvalds in 1991, powering everything from personal computers to massive servers and even the smallest of devices. Linux has promoted numerous distributions like Ubuntu, Fedora, and Debian. It's not just an OS, it is a movement, and its adaptability and security features make it a favorite for many. Another project you might want to contribute to is Docker. This platform revolutionized software delivery by packaging applications into containers. It ensures consistency across various deployment environments. It's like giving software a portable home, ensuring it behaves the same wherever it goes. Speaking of container orchestration, that brings us to the marvel that is Kubernetes. Originating from Google, Kubernetes picks up where Docker leaves off, managing, scaling, and automating the development of these containers. Think of it as the conductor of an orchestra, ensuring every player plays its part perfectly. As our software development world expands, so does the need for effective version control, and that's where Git shines the brightest. It was created by the same genius behind Linux, Linus Torvalds. This open-source project is the backbone of many a development workflow, streamlining collaboration and tracking changes with ease. Next on our list is TensorFlow. Developed by the brilliant minds at Google Brain, TensorFlow is more than just a machine learning library. It's a ticket to the future of predictive analysis, voice recognition, and image processing. While deep learning and orchestration tools are critical, there is a world where simplicity and productivity truly merge. If you are familiar with the Pomodoro technique, you'll love this one. Meet Pomotroid, the open-source tool that brings Pomodoro technique to your desktop. Offering a visually pleasing break timer, it helps you stay productive while reminding you to take care of yourself. Shifting gears now, we come to monitor control. This little gem allows you to control your monitor settings, like brightness or contrast, directly from your computer. It streamlines your workflow, particularly if you're using multiple screens. Now imagine an entirely open-source operating system designed from scratch, without relying on any existing OS. Sounds like a dream, right? That's Serenity for you. It's not just a project, but a demonstration of what the open-source community can achieve by starting from the ground up. As we approach the end of our list, we would be remiss not to mention Ansible. In the world of IT automation, Ansible stands out. It helps by automating tasks like software provisioning, configuration management, and even deploying applications. The last open-source project on our list is React. This JavaScript library, which stems from the labs of Facebook, has revolutionized user interface development. Its component-driven architecture not only makes development efficient, but also turns websites into lively, interactive experiences. If you enjoyed this deep dive and want to stay updated on the latest developments in AI, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Until next time, goodbye.